problem with Bruce was, I mean, he was absolutely delightful. I mean, I remember we went out, we had the tour bus that used to belong to, I can't remember his name, doesn't matter, but it got burnt down. But it was a lovely old Greyhound bus. And it was the only one in the UK. And we were on somewhere out Birmingham or Manchester on the first tour. And he decided that him and I should sit in the back of the bus and just watch Clockwork Orange together. Nice. It was just us. And it was great. And he was so lovely. But the problem was, it was everyone around the tour was such a huge fan that they treated him like a god. And I mean, you're right, he didn't like that at all. I mean, John Landau was, he had his own issues, to say the least. But yeah, everyone on the tour thought, they were like the followers of the Lord, and they were like the disciples. And it made life very hard, because he was great. He didn't have a problem with all of this, but everybody else did.
Yeah, but you did a great job in the end, because he ended up by coming around, didn't he? And he did some great promotion.
Yeah. No, he was lovely, but it's just the people around him were, how can I say, just too obsessed.
That's often the case.
It is, especially once someone becomes established, because from my experience, I had my heroes, but most of the time you're working to promote a new act. Yes. And occasionally you'll get a big star come into town. And when you're working with a new act, you've maybe got one manager and that's it, and their band.
And maybe the agent.
They travel on their own a lot of the time, and they need you to help them everywhere. Once they're huge, they've got an entourage as long as, 5 miles long, and they're all, 60, 70% of them are hangers on. And they just protect the artist. And the artist, if you can ever get those major artists on their own, they're crying out for some normal company from non-sycophants. Before Prince was even, his first visit to the UK, the American office in Los Angeles were raving about Prince. And we'd been inundated with telexes at the time, because thank God we didn't have mobile phones or fax machines or email even, saying, you've got to roll the red carpet out for this guy. He hadn't even had a hit globally, let alone in the UK. And I'm sitting there listening to the White Label thinking, well, this is no better than Narada Michael Walden. It's good, but why is he so special? The next day I get this telex saying, when he arrives at Heathrow on Thursday morning, he'll be on the 6:50 flight out of Chicago. We want you to meet him in a white Rolls-Royce. And I'm going, I haven't even met Fleetwood Mac or George Benson in a white Rolls-Royce. What is going on here?
Yeah, would he be happy in my company car?
Exactly. So I phoned up Berryhurst. They said, well, you're lucky, we've got a white Rolls-Royce. I went out there at 5:30 in the morning with the driver. We're sitting there in the arrivals lounge watching all these flights come in from Chicago. And I'm looking for a 4'2" guy with black curly hair and a guitar under his arm. No sign of him whatsoever. And so the driver says, John, there's only one more flight due in from Chicago. And we're an hour behind the flight he was supposed to be on. So we waited for that, still no sign of Prince. And the driver said, well, I don't suppose he's come into Gatwick, do you, John? And I said, well, that's a thought. He said, well, come on then, let's go. And he went up to the information desk, and it turned out there were 3 more flights coming into Chicago to Gatwick. And he said, if I put my foot down, we should make it. I've never driven so fast in a white Rolls-Royce. Any police cars would have chased us, because we were stood out like a sore thumb. Get to Gatwick, the flights from Chicago come in, no sign of Prince. And by this time, I'm panicking, because his management team were called Cavallo, Ruffalo and Fagnoli, and my kneecaps were beginning to itch.
Yes,
and
quite right too.
It was one of those sort of situations where you think, oh God, I've really cocked this up, I'm going to lose my job. And so the driver said, well, okay, what hotel have you got him booked into? Did he know where he was supposed to be going? Because the worst thing was, he was traveling on his own, his first time to the UK to do a gig. The band were flying in 2 days later or whatever. So we drive up to the Hyde Park Hotel or wherever he was booked in. And I go into reception really sheepishly. And I didn't even know what name he would have checked in under. And I go up to the reception desk and I say, has someone called Prince? Quite short guy. Has he checked in? And they said, yes, sir, he arrived about half an hour ago. And I said, can I just buzz his room? And I've called him, and he said, come up. And he was so nice about it, just not in any way spoiled, even though in America, the record company had been fawning over him for months. It was like his first trip to the UK. He was on his own, and we had a nice cup of tea, I can't remember, whatever. And 3-4 nights later, he played the Lyceum. And we had really struggled to drum up anyone from radio or the music press to come and see this guy, because they went, yeah, we've listened to the record, it's okay. You know, what's so special? And I was finding it, and all the promotion team were finding it hard to tell people what was so special. Get to the Lyceum, they started the gig, they're all dressed in trench coats and looking quite mean and nasty. And yeah, it was really good. One of the tightest bands I've ever seen. And Prince himself, was quite obviously one of the greatest guitarists of all time. And that became apparent. So you think, oh, okay, fine. And then the lights went out after the second or third number. And then they came back up almost immediately. And the whole band was standing there in G-strings and nothing else. And I'm going, okay, I get it. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. But when he became a hero later on, because I grew to love his music. But at the time, that was what I loved about working in the music business, was working with up-and-coming artists who maybe they were so appreciative if you were with them and working with them when they had their first or second hit record. Randy Crawford, for example, with One Day I'll Fly Away, to the point where the next time they came to London, even if you weren't working with the label anymore, they'd give you a call and you'd go for dinner. But you never get that with someone who's already hit the heights.
Did he take the Gatwick Express on his own?
Yeah, he got on the train, or he got a cab.
It didn't exist then, the Gatwick.
No, it didn't. It was the Gatwick Slow, and it still is.
I don't have a Prince story, but I do have a white Rolls-Royce story, just quickly. It's a very quick one. But yes, talking of sending the white Rolls-Royce, I was looking after, many times, Art Garfunkel, who anyone who knows him will know is interesting. And one of the things I was to make sure there was a white Rolls-Royce, probably the same one you were in, John, outside his hotel at all times during this week or 2 weeks when he was in. So he was at the Savoy. And anyone who knows the Savoy knows that there's a cul-de-sac that kind of you go down and the cars circle and come back out. So obviously you can't leave a car there 24 hours a day with the driver in it. Absolutely no way. So anyway, so I've got him his car. I think he's happy. Everything's fine. And I finish work. I go home and I get a call from my boss. And it turns out that Art Garfunkel's come out the hotel and there is no sign of this white Rolls-Royce because it's in the cul-de-sac. So he gets quite annoyed about this. So he rings his manager, says, where's the Rolls-Royce? Who rings the head of the record company, who says, where's his Rolls-Royce? Who rings the head of the record company in America to ask, where's the Rolls-Royce? To say, where's the car? Who calls back to the other president, who calls back to the other boss, back down the chain, all the way to me, and says, the president of the record company would like to know where his car is. And I went, it's round the corner. Got out, walked round the corner and said, thank you. And that's it. Madness.